Hello, everyone. Oh my God, I'm so excited and I'm so scared. Welcome to my new YouTube series, podcast kind of thing, Safe in My Locket, hosted by yours truly, Katie Davies. I feel crazy that I've just kind of decided, you know what, pick up the microphone, start filming. I've tried to redo this about 7 times already, and I am getting sick of restarting, so we're just gonna go with it. Whatever happens, and we're gonna go with it. So, I think we should start by explaining the name, Safe in My Locket. Did I welcome you guys to it? I've said so much in the past 10 minutes that I can't actually remember. But if I didn't, welcome to the first ever episode of Safe in My Locket. To start, we're going to explain why I've called it that. So, I think anyone who knows me or who follows me on social media definitely can see that I am a big Madison Beer fan. I have been for about 6 or 7 years. Anyway, for about 6 or 7 years, I've been a huge Madison Beer fan. I literally remember during lockdown, my dad would take me and my sister on hikes to get us in fresh air. That was definitely a time of my life I do not want to relive because, oh my God, I did not enjoy hiking back then. And obviously, lockdown started in March. He was taking us June-ish. It was so hot outside. But at the end, I would always put on Madison Beer when we got back to the car. And it was just I'm relaxed now. I'm back in the car. I'm fine. And since then, I have gone to her 2024 spinning tour. I went with my best friends. And then literally 4 days ago, I went to the Locket tour, which was so incredible. I have a couple videos up on TikTok and Instagram about it already, but genuinely, she never fails to shock me. She has the most insane vocals of literally most artists I've ever heard. And that's not bringing down most artists, by the way. That's not what I'm saying. But her vocal range is insane. It's incredible. And when picking the name for this podcast series that I've wanted to do, since I was about 16 years old, I was like, let me go through Madison Beer songs and pick something that resonates with me. So I opened up Locket Theme and her lyric, all my memories safe in my locket, I carry it, came up. And I was like, you know what? That as a podcast name, insane. That would be amazing. Instantly I kind of just connected to it, I guess. And I don't know, I feel like I keep pausing. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit nervous, but I was like, for the things that I want to talk about and the topics that I'll dive into on this series, on this podcast, it makes sense because a lot of people, I definitely will be touching on mental health and, struggles and difficulties. And I'll explain what made me want to do that in a second. But with wanting to talk about all of that stuff, I guess the way I thought about it was people keep their issues locked in their brain. So when I talk about mental health, a lot of it stems from memories in my childhood. So all my memories safe in my locket is all my memories trapped in my mind. Does that make sense? I don't know. I hope it does. But that was kind of my inspiration for it. The reason I wanted to do this, okay, this wasn't completely planned. Don't get me wrong. I kind of decided 4 hours ago that I was going to film this and we were actually going to start it. But it is something that I've wanted to do since literally 2021, 2022-ish. And I never really had the courage to do it because I was like, I'm literally no one with no platform. Who is going to listen to me? Like, who is going to care enough to listen? You know? But then I was like, you know what? I was thinking this morning, because I don't know if you guys know who Aidan Watson is. He's great. If you don't, you should, like, definitely check him out. His new podcast, Secret Gardens of My Mind, came up on my YouTube recommended. And I started watching it and I was like, you know what? He probably had that same fear too. Like, who's going to listen to what I'm saying? And then I really thought about it and I was like, every podcaster I've ever listened to has had that fear of, why would anyone listen to me? So I was like, you know what? I'm feeling confident enough today to actually go and, you know, make this a thing and make this, you know, bring this to life. And so, yeah, that's kind of why we're here now. Sorry, I keep pausing. Like, I keep getting the urge to restart and do the whole intro over again, but I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna just keep it, because the one thing that made me want to do this was I realized that my social media presence is so fake. Like, hold on, guys. We're gonna drink some water quick. Maybe I'll give you some ASMR. Are you ready? Let me know if that was ASMR. I was going through my TikTok this morning. And yesterday I posted on Instagram and I posted on TikTok a day in my life going to see Madison Beer. And I was watching it back and I was like, you know what? I am proud. Okay, I'm proud of it. It's probably the best day in my life I've ever filmed and edited. My voiceover, I don't like listening to my own voice, which is funny considering what I'm doing. But I think that it came across okay. And I think that it was definitely more confident than the previous ones I filmed. So I'm not saying I'm not proud of it, but I was like, this is so insanely fake. Like, I'm talking, oh, you know, we went to Greg's and then I was fine and blah, blah, blah. I was literally having a panic attack in the middle of Greg's. Walking out of the station to Greg's, I was having a panic attack. And then getting onto the train, I was in pain. I was anxious. Like, no one can see that though. From just watching my video itself, everyone could be like, oh, you know, she went to London with her boyfriend and she had so much fun. And I'm not saying I didn't have fun, but there is two sides to a coin, you know? I had fun, but, you know, that morning I almost sold my tickets because I was so anxious that I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can go to London today. I don't think I can, you know, be in a concert hall today. But I pushed through it. I made a video. And now it just looks like I woke up like, oh my God, yay, let's go do this. And that is not the mindset I was in. Like, yeah, I was excited to see Madison Beer. Obviously, who wouldn't be? But that just wasn't the kind of state that I was in. And I felt like me presenting myself online as if, you know, I'm so happy and I'm so joyful all the time is just so fake. So this first episode is, I think I'm going to call it From the Beginning. Because we're just going to lay all my cards out on the table and it's like, you can choose, you can follow me, and you know what you're signing up for. Or if I say something and you're like, not really, you can scroll away. But at least I know what I'm saying is 100% me. And what I stand by and what I stand for, you know? That kind of thing. I have some notes on my laptop for the intro, and I think I have dived into all of them. I want to do like little segments in my intros in the future. So one of them I want to do is Song of the Week. And I think I'm going to say Wanna Be Starting Something by Michael Jackson because I love Michael Jackson. I did go and see the Michael movie and I think that it was such an incredible film. And I think it really really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I kind of went on a spree listening to his music. I did grow up around his music anyway because my parents were like huge Michael Jackson fans, but I kind of actually listened to his music now. So, you know, my song of the week is going to be Wanna Be Starting Something because I think the lyrics are so funny and so real. Like, you're either doing something or you're not. You're either contributing to the world or you're not. So that's kind of also why I started this because, want to be starting something? I'm starting something. I feel like I need more water. Oh my God. I'm sorry. My mouth has been so dry recently. I don't know if it's like the change in weather because we literally this time last week were in the middle of a heat wave and now it's raining and it's thundering and like it's not very nice outside. I don't know. But I probably will be drinking quite a lot of water because I feel very much like I need water. So I guess let's just start. Yeah, let's just start talking. I have been interested in doing YouTube videos and doing podcasts and vlogging on TikTok for as long as I can remember. And I'm going to tell you a story time. And this is so embarrassing for me to be saying literally like on my first ever episode. But when I was in primary school, I was in year 6. I had I think it was a unicorn, but I don't actually know. We're gonna say it's a unicorn. Like are they called TY teddies? TY babies? Beanie babies? I don't know. I had a unicorn and I sat in the corner of my bedroom floor and I filmed a video with my back camera facing the unicorn and I sung. And I was acting as if the unicorn was singing. And it was the whole stop, don't talk to me, loser, lameo, wannabe. I posted it. I uploaded it because I was like, this is so fire. Everyone's gonna love this, right? I came to school literally a day or two later. And loads of kids came up to me and they were like, why would you post that? That's so embarrassing. Like, they were really making fun of me. And I got really, really embarrassed. So I told everyone I had a twin sister who went to a different school, and she's who posted it. They ended up going up to my mum in the playground and asking if I had a twin sister, and my mum said no. So not only did everyone know that I filmed that video, but they also knew I was a liar. So, you know what? It's fine now. Like, I laugh about it now, but I was so embarrassed back then because I loved YouTube and I saw loads of people filming their American Girl dolls. And I'm obviously in the UK, so American Girl dolls weren't like a huge thing here. So I did what I thought was the next best thing. And I filmed my teddies singing. Turns out that wasn't really the next best. Turns out that was not the next best thing to do. And from there, I kind of just stopped posting myself because I was embarrassed. And it's so stupid because, like, even now, the videos I post aren't something to be embarrassed of, but I still have that, like, pit in my stomach every time I post something of, oh my God, someone is going to make fun of me. And that's such a stupid fear to have because when you start posting online, it's like, obviously someone's going to be making fun of you, duh, you know? But I don't know, that whole situation really got to me when I was little because I was like, what is the point? Because I was so protective over like myself that I was like, I can't post anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't go on YouTube and I can't, talk about things. So instead, I started making fan accounts, guys. I'm really opening up here. Like, literally, I am giving you everything so you know what you're signing up for. When I was about 11, I made a fan account for a influencer. I won't talk about who or what, but I made a fan account. I had about 800 followers. Really not that many. But I would come home from school every single day, and I remember I was at my nan's house a lot. So before I had, like, in year 7 and 8, I had Nokias, which obviously is not ready for social media and editing. So I would go to my nan and I'd be like, can I have your phone? And she'd give me her iPhone 6, and I would hide in her room, and I would edit loads and loads of videos of this influencer. They were terrible edits, by the way. And I would sit there and I would just post them all on Instagram. And that was like, it was so weird to me that I kind of did that, and that was such a big part of my life. But, it is what it is. And then when I was 16, I started making YouTube videos unlisted. So what that basically means is that anyone with a link can access the video. My first ever YouTube video was me going to LMA with my best friend Laura, one of my best friends, and LMA is like an acting school in London, also for music and like musical theatre. She went for musical theatre, I went for acting. I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to be an actress, guys. It's actually like really bad. I wanted to take lessons. I was so close to taking acting lessons, actually. But I don't know, I kind of lost my passion for it. But I kept posting on YouTube unlisted videos, only like 4 or 5 times a year, not very often at all, because I was like, again, my life is so boring. Who wants to watch anything that I'm posting? So all my videos were just kind of unlisted, and only my friends would watch and my family. I think my most recent one was posted January or February this year, and I posted my Center Parks vlog and my Paris vlog at the same time. I don't think I'll ever actually post a public Center Parks vlog. Oh my god, my stomach's rumbling. I'm trying to move the microphone away so you don't hear it. But because that's very like my family, and I am not allowed to post my little brother on publicly on, social media. So I don't know. But next time I go on holiday, I'll definitely post, a public video. But something kind of clicked to me like a month ago, and I was like, if I don't start something, I'm gonna regret it so badly when I get older. Like, I already regret not starting younger. It was always something I was passionate about. It was never something that was gonna go away. And I get the whole stereotype of like, oh my god, people in this generation just want to be YouTubers and like streamers and blah blah blah. Genuinely, it was such, and is still such, a big passion for me that I was like, if I don't just, bite the bullet and post, I'm never gonna do it. So I did. I bit the bullet and I started posting, and it just opened up so many doors for me, which is why I'm able to sit here and talk to you right now and film this video. Guys, I need water again. I'm so sorry. You know what? We'll probably get into health stuff, like physical health, later. But did you hear that noise? That was really embarrassing. My current medication that I'm on makes me really thirsty. So I have been drinking so much water, which isn't actually a problem. It's probably really good for me because I was drinking like a glass of water every 2 days. It was really bad. But yeah, I am really glad that I decided to wake up, and I decided that today was the day that we're going to sit and talk. I think I've always had a huge fear of being made fun of. I did want to kind of talk about, like, obviously we're calling this From the Beginning, so I'm going to talk about like a lot of things mental health now. If that's not your vibe, please feel free to click off. I will not be offended. But I was just gonna like dive into like kind of everything, what made me who I am today, and like why I am who I am, I guess. Because I feel like transparency is very important, and I have not been very transparent recently. So, when I was 8 years old, my parents split up. Which now, obviously, I'm nearly 21. I'm 21 literally in 19 days. Not a big deal to me anymore. I don't really care. Like, it's just something that's in my life. But back then, it was such a big deal to me. And I developed very, very severe anxiety. So, from the age of like 8 years old, I was in and out of counseling and therapy and like things that I thought I didn't need, but I probably did. I was just in and out of places because no one could figure out why I was acting the way I did. I had very bad separation anxiety from my parents, and it was just, honestly, it was such a nightmare because these issues were very severe up until the age of literally like 13. So I was in and out of counseling. And at the same time, see, I don't really know what to say because in this current moment in my life, I have a great support system. I have a great relationship with my family, with my siblings, with my parents. I have an amazing boyfriend, and I have the most amazing friends. So what my life looks like now is very, very different to what my life looked back then. Looked like back then. I keep touching my hair because I'm nervous. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to make sure it looks okay. But yeah, back then I kind of grew up in a very toxic environment. So I was in and out of these counseling sessions, but I also had a very toxic environment to be in. And I honestly, see, I don't really know what to say. I should have planned this more maybe, but at least you know it's authentic because I have no idea what I'm going on about. But the age of about 11 to 16 was quite rough for me. So I was a very troubled kid, okay? And a lot of people didn't know that about me. I've literally only started opening up to people about the things that I went through within the past 6 months. And, you know, I'm 20 now. And these are issues I was facing from the age of like 8 onwards. But obviously when I was 11, I started secondary school. And I was a very anxious kid going into a very big school full of a lot of people. I also kind of like have always struggled with, I don't know, I can make friends and I can talk to people easy, but I'm very bad at like trusting people, if that makes sense. A lot of my friends growing up were actually online, which maybe I shouldn't have been talking to people and strangers online at such a young age, but I found it so difficult to have like a in-person connection with people. And that's not saying I didn't have friends, because like a lot of the people and the friends that I have now are literally people that I've had in my life since I was about 11 years old. So, you know, it's nothing like that. But on the other hand, there was a lot of people in school who didn't like me either, and who kind of gave me a hard time when I was in secondary school, right the way up through college. So I spent a lot of my time escaping online because I'd wake up in a toxic environment to go to a toxic environment to come back home to a toxic environment. And I really struggled with this for such a long time because I think year 8 especially was very bad for me. I was struggling, guys, pretty badly. I was struggling with multiple mental health issues, and I don't really know what I can say that YouTube will allow me to say, but I was very much not wanting to be on the planet anymore. And I have diary entries from 11 years old saying that, which is, to me, absolutely insane. Absolutely mental. I was so young, dealing with such heavy thoughts, and no one knew. So, year 8 was pretty tough because I was in and out of friendships. My home life was not that great. I was having a lot of arguments with my family, and I also was dealing with that, you know? So I spent a lot of my time online trying to, escape, but also I was so young. Learned behavior was learned behavior. I got into a lot of drama growing up because I felt like I just couldn't get away with it. I also had a really bad habit growing up of being over adaptable, if that makes sense. So whoever I was with, I'd morph into them and I would kind of gain their habits. So whoever I was hanging out with, I was kind of associated with all throughout growing up because I would kind of let myself in a weird way become like them. And that's just like, that's so weird because now I'm more me than I've ever been. I am more myself than I've ever been. But growing up, I really struggled, like, finding out who I was. Like, I remember being in therapy and people would be like, who is Katie? So, like, who is she? And I'd just be like, I don't know. I don't know who she is. This is so deep for a first episode and, like, no one knows anything about me, but I feel like it's important to talk about, so we're gonna go through. Anyway, year 8 ended. Whatever. Year 9 wasn't too bad. I don't think. I just was struggling with identity and with mental health. My anxiety was still very, very bad, but I was better at kind of hiding it. My home life, nothing really changed from the age of about 8 to 17, 18. So I won't get much into that because there's no point. Nothing changed. I was in a lot of arguments. It wasn't great. But I spent a lot of time at my friends' houses and kind of on their couch because I couldn't be at home. So that's like a separate issue within itself. Oh my god, I'm stuttering. That's a separate thing within itself. Okay? But going back to school, because school, I mean, you went, 5 days a week from 8:40 to 3 p.m. I was there, and I was so unhappy. I had no idea who I was. Genuinely, no clue, no idea who I was becoming because I was so adaptable to other people, because I had such a bad fear of people. Oh my god, my stomach's still rumbling. I'm sorry. I had such a bad fear of people disliking me. And I was the biggest people pleaser, that I was just constantly saying things that I thought people would want to hear. But in me trying so hard, it made me unlikable. And when I speak about this stuff, I don't hold things against people that I went to school with, because, I mean, we were all kids. I don't think anyone really knew who they were. I'd be shocked if anyone did. Everyone was kind of just, discovering themselves, and that's fine. I mean, everyone, I'm sure, made mistakes in secondary school, including me. But it made me so unlikable. And I struggled so badly with that, because in my head I was like, I am doing all of this stuff so that people like me. And still I feel like no one likes me. What is going on? And I was kind of problematic, so I would speak my mind a lot. if I didn't like something, which kind of fizzled out in like year 10. I wasn't very confrontational in year 10, but back in college I was. Like from college onwards, I'm a very confrontational person now, which might not be the best thing, but can you hear my stomach? Oh my god. I need to get food after this, but I am also very hot-headed, so, you know. Anyway, year 9 ended. It was the best year out of the entirety of secondary school because year 10, we literally went pretty much straight into lockdown. I don't remember anything being in person in year 10 except for me and my best friend, one of my best friends, V, going to pick up our books. That is literally the only thing in year 10 that I remember. I was still mentally struggling very, very badly. I was being, okay, I don't really know how to explain this, but I was kind of bullied on and off throughout secondary school as well. I had one person who was like consistently bullying me, and then other people would just be really mean about me. I had people comment on my voice, which is why I don't like my voice. I had quite a big lisp growing up, so people made fun of me for that. My appearance got made fun of, my body got made fun of, like, if you could think of it, it was made fun of. So, I was struggling with that because even though a lot of people said stuff between, like, year 7 and year 8 about me, it stuck like glue. Genuinely. I couldn't get over it. I'm pretty sure I wrote it all down in a journal anytime anyone said anything, and I'd reread it and I'd be like, why? Like, why are people saying these things about me? I don't understand. Oh my god, wait, it looks like my neck's disappeared. Let's reposition. Yeah. I didn't really understand. But when I went, actually, I'll move the mic up. If you can hear my stomach rumbling, I am so sorry. But going into lockdown, my mental health was so bad, and I was also I felt so alone. And at the same time, my physical health started getting bad, and I started dealing with issues with my stomach, which I guess I'll touch on a little bit in a minute. I don't want to make this too long. It's already half an hour long. But I'll touch on that in a minute. I was dealing with physical health issues where no one could explain what was wrong with me. I was in so much pain all the time. Pain where I couldn't move, I couldn't eat. It was a lot, you know? I was so happy when lockdown ended, I'm not gonna lie, because I felt like I was losing my mind, being stuck at home in my own head constantly. So when lockdown ended, things got better for a bit. I cut people off. I really did things that were good for me. So when I started college, I was actually in a better place. Can you hear that? I'm so sorry. I was dealing with other stuff though. So as for anxiety and just overall depression, I had gotten better, I guess, but where my physical health and the issues with my stomach were so bad, I wasn't eating. And long story short, that kind of led to an eating disorder, which I had when I started college. And for some reason, the pain did go away, but I was just my head was in the clouds most of the time because I just was so malnourished. It was really bad. It was really bad. And my first year of college, like, no, I think towards like the middle of my first year of college, I started to get better. And then summer, I completely relapsed again. So I lost quite a lot of weight within a year. And year 13 was one of the hardest years for me. Um, I was like really badly not eating, which was causing a lot of health problems. I was very anemic. I still am anemic, actually, that never went away. But, you know, my anxiety came back with a vengeance. Like, I was being quite badly bullied. I had people making things up about me, saying that I faked my eating disorder and spreading rumors about me and my friends. And again, it really had an impact. And okay, again, this is so embarrassing. I had one class, right, where I had no friends. Towards the end, I did have a friend, but for the most part, I had no friends in this class in first and second year. I'd speak to people sometimes, not a lot. And this class was just very difficult for me to go to. A lot of the time, I either skipped or I had to bring someone with me because I just physically could not be in there on my own without feeling like I was losing my mind or I was going to have a panic attack. A lot of the time I did actually have a panic attack before I went into class, and I'd have to like hide in the support room. It was so embarrassing, but at the same time people kind of noticed this happening, and I'd bring someone with me and they'd be like, why is she bringing people into the class with her? Like, what is happening? And I don't blame them. Don't get me wrong, because like no one actually, obviously no one's going to know the ins and outs of your life. You can't be going through something and expect that everyone knows, because they don't. But I was on a very high, like I was being highly monitored by my friends and my family at this point because of how bad my mental health was and how many like separate issues I had. So even if someone didn't come to my class, I was being picked up by someone. And I was traveling home with someone. I was traveling to, college with someone. My stomach rumbled again. And it was such a mess. I was such a huge mess at this point. And I don't even think my teacher understood. Like, my teachers knew what was going on with me, but I don't know if this one understood, So this class in general, like, I was picked on a little bit for whatever reason, I don't know. I know one of them is because I had to bring people to class with me. I don't know. You know what would be really embarrassing if someone actually saw this and was like, lol, I was in your class with you. I'd be very, like, embarrassed. No hard feelings. But when college ended, because at the same time, obviously, the whole bullying was going on, and, like, as soon as college ended, I had the best summer of my life, genuinely. I started a job, which I'm not even going to go into this, okay? Because that would need to be a whole separate video by itself. Genuinely, that place. But I started working. My health wasn't actually that bad anymore. I still was struggling with an eating disorder. That hasn't really gone away. I'm better with eating now, but I still have certain foods that I'm like, I can't touch that. Like, I don't want to go near that. But I started this job, and I was also going out. I had, like, quite a big group of people I was going out with at the time. So, to distract myself from everything going on in my brain was, like, easy, The job started getting bad. I should also mention, the job is where I met my boyfriend. So, but we didn't really speak much until October, I want to say. We like started being friends in September, and then we started actually developing feelings for each other like October, November-ish. So that was fun. That was cute. I was very scared because I hadn't really liked anyone the way I liked him before, and I didn't really know how to handle it. But that was a lot distracting me from what was going on in my mind. I still had episodes of severe anxiety and like feeling depressed. Also because this job was so bad. Like I just screamed, sorry, but like I can't express to you how insane this job was. I was losing my mind. I was genuinely losing my mind. Bear in mind, I wasn't allowed to go to uni the year after I ended college because I wasn't trusted to be by myself and go to London. So I missed that opportunity, which I guess technically is a good thing now because I wouldn't have met my boyfriend if I didn't. But I was very hurt. Anyway, December 2023, me and my boyfriend got together. And we've stayed together since, so that's great. But I still continue to have a lot of issues. There was a lot of rumor spreading still about me within my workplace, within groups of people, saying things about the type of person I am. I've experienced a lot throughout my life of people being like, you're this, you are that. This is what you are, and this is who you are, and this is your intention when you did this, and this is who you are, and you get what I mean? And I'll look at these things people were saying about me, and I'll be like, genuinely, how have we gone from A to Z? How have you come to this conclusion about me when you hardly know me? And I spent so long being like, why is this happening? And I think genuinely it's the universe teaching me to get out of my people-pleasing tendencies because it's a problem. But, you know, this is also why I didn't start social media for so long. Because I was like, there are people out there who genuinely think I am probably the worst person in the world. And that really got to me. Because even though I knew what they were saying wasn't true, I was like, there is still someone out there that thinks that about me. And that's what I'm struggling with. But it got to a point where I think about a month ago, I had experienced one of the worst cases of bullying I have ever experienced in my life. And maybe one day I'll talk about it when it's like been more time than it has right now. But I was like, you know what? People are gonna keep saying this about me. This is gonna keep being a thing. Like, I can't control the narrative that people have about me. So, what's the point? I may as well do what I want to do. And I think that's, like, something important that if you take anything from this episode, because this episode's been very, like, me and my backstory and the negative parts. Thing is, right, with my growing up, I've trauma blocked so much of it. So, to be honest, I only kind of remember the negatives. In future videos, it will be a lot more positive. But, you know, I'm laying out the base here. Like, this is who I am. This is why I am the way I am. And this is why I can give you advice, knowing that it's advice I've taken. So, if you take any bit of advice out of this video, you cannot control people's narratives of you. It's something I tried it took me so long. You know, it really got to me. But you have to realize, people's opinions of you are none of your business, okay? If someone wants to sit there and create this narrative of you, that you are the worst person and you've done this, this, and this, and you know you haven't done that, you've got to let it go. You have to let it go. And I've experienced people doing this to me since I was 11 years old. And I never really understood it. Like, I felt the need to speak up about everything, every single thing someone said about me. I had no followers and I was posting on my story trying to be like, well, actually, this happened and this happened and this happened. No one cares, okay? Because your side of the story, where you know the truth, it's not as entertaining. It's not as fun, okay? Oh, what do you mean you didn't cheat on your boyfriend? What do you mean you didn't kick someone down a staircase? What do you mean you didn't do that? It's not as interesting. It's not as fun. So people who genuinely like the drama do not care for what you have to say. You can stand there. It's like arguing with the brick wall, okay? Because no one cares about what you have to say. Because they want to believe what they want to believe. So you can't waste your energy on that. Because nothing's going to change. You are just giving yourself to people and giving your energy to people who do not deserve your energy, okay? And it's so hard to come to terms with. I know, trust me, I really do know. But what people are going to say, they're going to say, no matter what you're doing. This is why I started my social media. People are saying this stuff without me having any presence. People are going to say it with me having a presence. People are going to say it whether I'm on the other side of the world or not. Okay? People are going to keep saying this stuff. If you know in your heart that it's not true, if your family knows it's not true, if the people you genuinely love and care about know that it's not true, do not let it take up the attention it needs. Okay? And I'm not saying that you completely have to ignore it, because I also don't think that that's realistic. I definitely have given a lot of my time and attention to things that don't deserve it, and I have defended myself in cases where I knew I wasn't going to be listened to. But it's so important that you realize that you are more than what people say about you. And if you would not take advice from someone, do not take criticism from them. Okay? That's, like, very important. And I guess also, if you're going to take anything else from this video, things get better. The only reason I'm able to sit here and I'm able to talk to you about all of this stuff is because it gets better, okay? I was in such a bad state in my life, literally 5 years ago, where I thought, oh my God, I'm stuck. Nothing's ever going to change, you know? I'm going to be stuck in this loop forever, and I am just going to be depressed for the rest of my life. It's not true, okay? You might struggle with it for the rest of your life, yeah, but things get better. And I think that's one of the most important things you can take from this video. I now have great friends. I'm very close with my friends, all of my friends. I have a very small circle of people, don't get me wrong. I try to make friends. I very much struggle to, though, because I am very guarded. I have a great relationship with my parents and family, which we've worked on for years, and I'm in a good place. And I'm in a relationship when I never even thought that I would be stable enough to get in a relationship. So that's, that's something within itself. Okay, also, I'm 90% sure that if anyone sees this, that, went to school with me or went to college with me, they'd be like, everything she's saying is so fake. This is not who she is. She's just saying this because of blah, blah, blah. And if you want to think that, then that is okay, because that is the version of me you knew. But I also just wanted to put it out there, going back to what I said earlier. Oh my God, I didn't even touch on physical health stuff. Maybe that'll be for a different video. Maybe for next week. We can save that, because I don't really like talking about physical health and that kind of thing. I don't know why. I'm more open about my mental health than I am about my physical health. But I am more me. Okay. I am more me now than I have ever been in my life. And that is why I'm able to sit here and I'm able to talk about things, because I have finally found who I am. I mean, you can see my vision board behind me that I've hung up. I have one sticky note that says, safe in my locket, because I have nothing else to put here. You can see the Hello Kitty teddies. Things that I used to be embarrassed about myself. I have about 50 Disney movies in my house right now. I love Disney films. I love Disney princesses. I love Disneyland. I love Hello Kitty. I love so many things that I used to be embarrassed about because people used to make me feel embarrassed about it. I'm not embarrassed anymore. If you want to hang on to the version of me you met, then that is okay. I do not mind. But I am so different to who I used to be, and that is why I'm able to make a video like this. I think we should start wrapping it up, actually, because it's been almost an hour now. It's been 50 minutes of me yapping. Next week's episode will be a bit more upbeat, but I thought it was important for my first episode, and I'm gonna post this thinking, oh my god, how cringy, how stupid, why is she talking about this, like, what am I doing? But next week's episode will be probably more advice, because I am very into manifestation, I'm very into wellness, all of that stuff, and I think I have advice to give. Maybe we'll do some stuff like some episodes on music. Ariana Grande's album's coming out, by the way. I love her new song. I know that there's a lot of debate about it. Personally, I love it. I think that she is a genius. I think she's always been a genius. But yeah, I hope that this kind of was somewhat insightful. I feel like I've just kind of yapped about the most random things that I could have possibly yapped about. But I hope to someone somewhere that this was a very insightful video and that it brings someone out there some comfort knowing that you are not alone if you're experiencing or feeling anything that I have described in this video that I grew up feeling and experiencing, if that makes sense. If you are feeling anything that I have mentioned, I want you to know it gets better. I want you to know that, there is so much more out there than the world you've created in your head, and I know how hard it is to try to get out of it, but it will work out. Everything happens for a reason, everything works out, and I think I'm gonna end it on that note. I hope you guys enjoyed the first ever episode of Safe in my Locket. I'm gonna go straight to editing this now, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.